Hey everybody, it's me, Kai Man, and it is time for a new life astrology video. Now today we are going to talk about Uranus in Scorpio. Now Uranus is one of my favorite planets, and it's one of my favorite planets because it is another one of those planets that encourage us to dig deep, to change, not just transform, but to like really transform on a major level, like the whole level of society in a whole revolutionary way. So I really dig Uranus as a planet. It like really is an amazing planet. So we're going to talk about today Uranus in Scorpio. To me, Uranus in Scorpio represents where the occultist meets the shaman, because what Uranus does is it takes those things that are hidden and brings them to light. So, you know, that whole occult thing, that hidden thing is what it really represents. So let's talk about Uranus as a planet. Uranus influences revolutionary changes and rebellion. It is known to be the great awakener. It has the ability to wake us up to things that we should be aware of. It rules intuition and the future. It's an outer planet so far from the Earth that it's invisible to the human eye, and moves significantly slower than the inner planets. Now, Uranus moves, it takes about 84 years to move around the sun. And so it sits in each sign for about 7 years. So that gives us enough, you know, chances to get whatever it is that we're going to get it right, solidify it, and make it revolutionary. And so because of the fact that it is like an outer planet, it really focuses on those things that most people can't see. And that's why I like it. So let's again, it is an outer planet. It's so far from the Earth that it's invisible to the human eye and moves significantly slower than the inner planets. The outer planets represent the most esoteric aspects of ourselves, the parts of us that are only understood by maybe a small group of people who really, really know you and get you. Uranus is the occultist, and it represents things that are hidden. Uranus awakens us by jolting us out of complacency, sometimes through sudden change and chaos. So Uranus, when we think of major things that have happened in society, even upon the Earth, you know, like your storms, your Hurricane Katrinas, and things of that nature. These are times where revolutionary things happen. It's some chaotic things that happen, but out of those things, sometimes there are some major changes that take place that needed to happen. So it kind of like shakes us up. Uranus is a higher octave of Mercury, which rules the intellect. So Mercury rules the intellectual mind, and Uranus being an even higher octave of that, it will take our ordinary perceptions and add crystalline dimensions to it. Mercury is more like science, and Uranus is like physics, you know. Uranus pushes boundaries and rebels without second guessing. So it just moves. It just moves. It doesn't sit and go, well, should I do this or not? No. It sees something that needs to be changed, and it just moves forward on it. So there's no second guessing it. It drives us forward by bucking the status quo and incites us to a revolution. Rules and tradition means nothing to this rebellious planet. It requires absolute authenticity. So it is pulling everything that is naturally you to the surface. It's taking away all that stuff that we've had in society that, you know, everybody's supposed to do this. No, it's bucking all of that. We're blowing away old traditions, throwing that crap away and doing something different. That's what Uranus does. It's why I freaking love this planet. Um, it's not an easy planet. Don't get me wrong. It's not an easy planet, but you know, I'm a Scorpio, so that whole change and transformation and moving into a whole new state of mind and being, those things I love. I love. So Uranus, you know, it being that humanitarian on a, which means that it's on a grand scale. So Scorpios and Mars and Pluto, it's about that self thing, whereas Uranus is about the whole state of humanity. And so Uranus is a humanitarian who embodies the potential for creating enlightened society, holds us to the value of open-mindedness. So it's like, look, all that stuff we was all frigid and all holding close and being offended by and all that stuff, let that crap go. You know, let's work for the greater good so that everybody can feel the love and the energy, and we can all be changed and transformed together, move into a higher state of enlightenment. That's what Uranus is about. So anyway, I love this planet. So can you tell? Like, I just love this planet. Let's talk a little bit about the correspondences of Uranus. There are some things that have not been assigned, and that's only because, you know, the actual discovery of this planet. So we're still trying to find out some things about this planet. But Uranus is an air element. The day of the week, it's not assigned as of yet. It rules Aquarius. The colors of Uranus is electric blue, plaids, checks, mingle tones. And if you think about that, it sounds kind of crazy, right? Electric blue, plaids, checks. So it's not that whole status quo thing. It's not that, you know, that whole traditional type of thing. It's letting you know right off the bat, we're going for the weird thing. You know, we're going for those things that are not usually the norm. It shakes it up. So even with the colors that, you know, it corresponds to is something totally different. The herbs and plants are not assigned. The stones for Uranus is lapis lazuli, sapphire, aquamarine, azurite, and chalcedony. The tree also is not assigned as of yet either. So what we know about Scorpio, because again, we're talking about Uranus in Scorpio. So what we know about Scorpio is that Scorpio is highly intuitive and have incredible insight. Scorpios, they're drawn to positions of leadership and to powerful professions that result in transformation in some way. Scorpios, they know how to motivate people and to empower them as well. They are determined, forceful, thorough, intense, passionate, and resourceful. They embody transformation through their endurance and survival skills. Scorpio readily plunges into intensity. They alchemically transform their challenges into spiritual wisdom and knowledge. Scorpios also represent the mastery of letting go. A lot of people always say Scorpios are aloof. That's because they're easily in a situation and out of it. You know, they don't hold on to those particular things. They have mastered the art of letting things go. So the Scorpio sign has more of a transformational effect. Scorpio is the great psychologist who helps to heal our deepest wounds by holding our hand as we face darkness with the light of awareness. Scorpio carries the ability of the Midas touch, who has the ability to turn every situation around, like King Midas turned everything into gold. Scorpio also has a knack for getting out of severely challenging situations by simply transforming the situation into something better. Now, let's make sure I didn't go too far. Okay, so let's talk about Uranus in water signs. Now, this normally isn't, Uranus is a thinking planet. So let's really delve into that. It's a thinking planet, and Scorpio is a feeling sign. It's all about intuition. It's all about, you know, emotion and feeling, whereas Uranus is about, you know, that whole intellectual mind of let's just get into it. So anyway, Uranus water people are not at ease with their emotional nature, because it puts them into an emotional nature where they're not really used to that. You know, they are a thinking mind, not feeling and going by your intuition and your gut and things of that nature. So it's not an easy thing. But they prefer to try to rationalize any uncomfortable feelings with a logical approach. Scorpios ain't logical. They just know because they just know. Like, they just know, you know. But when they don't take their emotions, and this is Uranus in the water sign. So when they don't take their emotions seriously enough, their unexpressed feelings will continuously rise to the surface in the most inopportune ways. So it's a little bit of a challenge for, you know, Uranus to be in a water sign, because again of the nature of water signs, and the nature of Uranus and how it manifests itself as well. But it's a good placement, it really is. So we're gonna go into it a little bit deeper. Now, how Uranus acts in Scorpio in the natal chart. Now, Uranus in Scorpio usually is indicative of embracing power in some way. Now, these are the enlightened states of it. It's usually indicative of embracing power in some way, usually for the greater good. Because remember that Uranus it rules Aquarius. Aquariuses, they are the water bearers. They are the great humanitarians. So, and Scorpio represents power. So, of course, you know, Uranus, like that whole power thing, it can work with that because it's going to work in a sense for the greater good, using that power that it exudes from Scorpio. So it's also a placement that seeks new understanding of life and death with a leaning towards metaphysics. So that's that whole intellectual part of growing and understanding the Scorpio nature of the life and death, the rebirth and the transformation side of things. It turns it into that whole metaphysical state of being. Uranus in Scorpio also, those natives make changes. They innovate, they update traditions, they relate to intimacy, healing, metaphysics, psychology, transformation, investigation, privacy, dependence, support, the management of resources and debts, because all of those things really come from the whole scorpionic 8th house traditional characteristics. So it loves that because it can begin to take those things and upgrade them. That's what it does. It upgrades that. Simmer down, okay. I love this stuff. I really do. I love this stuff. They seek to alter the way that society relates to spirituality, psychology, and the occult. Now, Uranus in Scorpio natives, like, they really take it to a whole other level. Like, all the ways that we grew up and we felt about religion and spirituality, they come in, they bust all that up and say, you know what, none of that stuff was true. You know, this is really what happened, and we're going to show you what happened. And so we can move on from that and grow into another enlightened space and let all that old crap go. Let that go. That's what it does. So they also they become change agents. They become change agents. They're healers and they're extremists. They work to transform our culture because that's what their job is. People who have Uranus in Scorpio, this is what their job is to go in, and transform our culture. They lead us through the end of current traditions and paradigms and clear the way for new paradigms. That's why I love them. Okay, so what happens when Uranus transits Scorpio? So we all go through this. So even though it might not be in our chart, so to speak, whenever Uranus, transits the sign of Scorpio, these are some of the things that happen. This can be a cruel and emotionally unpredictable time, only because, of that whole Scorpio thing of letting go. And then you have Uranus is like, let's move forward. It can feel like it's cruel and unemotional, or make us emotional because of the same fact that the fact that we are letting go of some old stuff, and it's kind of hard. So it becomes a little bit emotional. But Uranus in Scorpio alters the way that society relates to spirituality, psychology, and the occult. So what's happening during that particular transition time, everybody globally, we're beginning to look at these things, on a whole. Uranus also, it may have us believe during this time that we need to break through some of the inhibitions or taboos or things that were related to sexuality, power dynamics, mortality, and self-knowledge. So it allows us to really think about us, ourselves individually, but also as a whole. So as we collectively are going through Uranus moving through the sign of Scorpio, we're looking at how we can break through some of our own inhibitions and the taboos that we've held tight. I'm not going to do that. That's gross, or that's nasty, or, she's gross because she's gay. She's a lesbian. Come on, open up your mind. You ain't got to do it. It ain't for you. Don't do it. Anyway, let me get back to this. You may begin to challenge authority or rules and laws in place only if you feel they are limiting the progress, or seeking to change or revolutionize the ways that we view our intimate relationships with others and with ourselves, or to awaken others to new thinking in these areas as well. So this is it's a real amazing time. It's a great time for change to happen on a global level. First, it always starts with us, individual, but as we individually start, looking and becoming comfortable with some of the things that, we were uncomfortable with, those things that were taboos or sexuality or, power struggles, power dynamics, and even the things that the knowledge that we held for ourselves becomes viewed differently as well. So let's see here. During this time, our intuition is powerful and our hunches can strangely be on point. And that's that Scorpio. That's that Scorpio thing, that intuitiveness, that dealing with that gut feeling, or that intuitive, I just know because I just know, type of thing or energy. You're usually excited, excuse me, that wasn't cool. You're usually excited when Uranus is in Scorpio because you begin to break new ground when attempting to understand the layers of yourself, a person in your life or situations. So this is a good time for you to really start pulling back the layers that is you. And what happens is, as you begin to do that, you feel lighter and you feel good. You're like, look, hey, so all that stuff, that I've been dragging around for all these years, that stuff is not me, or at least I don't have to hold on to that any longer. But what happens is, because Scorpios are the best researchers during this particular transit, you, even if you don't, have Uranus in your chart during this particular time, you become, more talented or gifted within the abilities of research. Now, if you enjoyed this video, I need for you to like it. I need for you to share it. I need for you to comment and tell me what you think, below. Share it with your family, take a look at it and kind of break it apart and be able to kind of look at certain things. If you have Uranus and Scorpio in your chart, I've given you some tools, to help you be able to, move and be that rebel or that revolutionary person that you are to become. People who have Uranus like heavily in their chart, these are people who are the people who came in and changed things in the world, like your Malcolm X's, like your Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks. All these people have Uranus in their charts heavy because they weren't just doing something for themselves. It ended up being something that was global, that worked for everybody, or to help, move us along to a better state of being. So anyway, I love you guys. Please make sure that you like this video, subscribe down to the left, hit the bell so that you can be notified when new videos are published. Again, share, 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 share. Tell somebody about my channel. I love you guys.